Hey everybody, I'm Jordan
And I'm Josh.
with PDQ.com. I don't know if everyone picked up on that, but those lights were on.
Yeah,
Well-
that's staying in.
Yours were off, Jordan, but we kept them on.
Just
on
watching
Josh.
Josh's irritation. It's like, oh, you sons of...
It was not that
Carry on.
visible, was it? I hope not.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
I'm going to show you later.
Okay.
We shared a look. So I will say I was disappointed that we half-assed our clickbait title.
Did we?
5 underutilized features, but there's no number 3 will shock you.
Well, we were saving that. It was the spoiler. You
Well, let's see what number 3
spoil
is.
it.
Oh, no, yeah.
That was number
3.
6 that was going to shock you.
Oh, number 6 will shock you. Oh, I like it. All right, so we're just talking about features that we think have a lot of value that probably we've noticed aren't used as often as they could be. We're just going to try to find some extra value for all of our lovely listeners. If they're not listeners, I don't care if they find value.
Yeah, me neither. All right, should we dive in?
Yeah, so the first one we think isn't used a lot is target filters,
Yeah.
which if you just Control-Comm and open up the preferences here, there's 2 options. There's inclusions and exclusions.
So essentially what these are doing is either I only want to deploy to these machines or I don't want to deploy to them. And this is global, so this overrides everything else.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the way it processes is it's going to resolve all inclusions first and then exclusions. So if you come in here and we want to only deploy to machines that start with a B,
Okay.
it's going to resolve that first. But then if in here we have Bugs Bunny where we eliminate them, it's still not going to send a Bugs Bunny just because it goes in the order, and the last one is going to take precedence. One thing to be cautious of, it seems backwards. It's not for the white blacklist thing, but inclusion is more exclusive. If you have a very tightly defined inclusion list, you're not going to send to most machines.
Okay.
So basically, this is more if let's say you wanted a subnet that you want to touch because these are servers that are special, they need the white glove treatment. You would want to put just that range of IPs, or if they have a specific naming convention, into the exclusion list. But if you have that in the inclusion, it's only going to send.
So you can do like let's say all of our servers are 192.168, 0/24.
You really want to highlight that bug, huh?
No, it works if it's a /24.
It doesn't. /24 is only 1 octet. The third octet would have to still be...
Yeah, because I said 192.168.0.
No, because you said it's 0, but if I put 192.168.3.0/24, 25, there we go.
See?
It does
It
work.
works
Wow.
for /24.
Look at that.
There is a bug if you start getting into some subnetting in here.
Apparently I
But
wasn't
I
paying
really
attention.
like this because I tend to break up, production servers and, access layer stuff into 2 different subnets. And then if I've got maybe someone working on the help desk, I can just automatically exclude. So there's no way that, we can hit those servers.
It also gives you the option where you can have multiple instances where one excludes all servers, and that's when you give the help desk to if they're only workstations, and then for your server-based things you can have a bit more access. It's a guarantee that you're not going to make a mistake on your conditions in the packaging, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I went that one. I think we talked about that longer than we thought we would.
I like them. I think they're cool. I think they're global. They're the highest, the most broad level filter you can do.
Yeah, and that's one. I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually set it up, but every time I see it being used, it's like that's genius.
We use it on our production instance here just to block out some build servers and stuff like that.
Right, yeah. So if there's something absolutely has to be protected, put it in the exclusion list, and no matter what, that one, even if it gets wrapped up in other conditions, it's not going to deploy to that one. You're going to be safe. It's a catch-all to save yourself for the critical machines, I guess. All right. Let's see, the next one we were talking about was the customizing the columns in inventory.
So we're moving on to number 2 now?
Number 2. Oh, number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2, underutilized feature.
I like this one. This one actually came directly from the support guys here.
What is this one?
This one is the ability to customize the columns that you're seeing in like the default all computers view. You can basically turn your inventory view into your favorite report. or stuff that you want to see all of the time.
So all I want is the name and the AD created. If I wanted a useless main window.
Yeah.
No, but it's very customizable, as well as sorting can be customizable as well. So you can sort by 2 separate columns within the more defined. So if it's always information overload, but you have information you always want for general computers, using the main window with the columns to get that customized, I'm just going to reset that instead of trying to guess the way that was.
Please. Yeah, the other thing you can do is if you're trying to just get a report and you are using all computers, it plays really nice with a copy paste to Excel from this view. So if you build your view the way you want to see it, and then copy everything and paste it into an Excel document, then that works really well.
All right. Well, I saw someone in there saying we need to use the dark mode, and I can't even remember how to turn it on.
All right, it's an interface.
Interface, there we go. Theme. There we go. We give the people what they want.
The other thing that you can do that I wanted to call out about that all computers view, and really any view in inventory, is the 2 different ways to search this. Like you've got the search box in the top right for a filter, and then you've got this magic search box with the Control F.
Yeah, this is something we covered a bit more in depth a couple of weeks ago, but you can get very specific where you can mention the column name, like multiple column names, and look for specific things within that. So you can get real granular too on the Control F filter.
It works similar to like Wireshark syntax. Not the same, but similar.
Yeah. Similar enough.
Similar enough. It's enough to get started that you can figure it out. It's pretty intuitive.
Yeah. So the all computers, I don't know, for me anyway, the default is noise. Like, I'm not saying the information is not useful, but there's so much. Making that, specific to your needs, I think is the best way to go about that.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
All right, and even if you're doing like a server or shared database on that one, those settings are still independent for your install.
They are.
So if you set it up on yours over a shared database, it's not going to show that way for others, which is that's I guess big to call out because you don't want to be overriding other people's preferences.
Exactly.
All right, number 3. Was number 3 the one that would shock you? Or
Number 3 is the shocker.
Number 3.
This better shock me. I'm waiting.
Well, I love this one actually. This is Josh explained it to me this morning because I was lost. I wasn't getting it, which is interesting because it was PowerShell you showed me.
Well, it's because the PowerShell that I write isn't very good.
So on this one is the custom fields can be used within your scripts, like dynamically to make more powerful scripts or packages, basically.
Yeah. So usually the way that I've seen custom fields used is like I've got very specific computer-specific things or user-specific things that I want to store about that computer. So I've got a script here that assumes that you're using TeamViewer, and then you're going to call a machine by its machine ID, which in some cases is the name, but many times it's not. It's just a string of numbers. So this is assuming that you've built custom... Oh, I just lost the words.
Thingy?
Custom things,
variable?
custom fields.
There
you
you
go.
go.
That you put custom fields with the client ID in that computer. And basically what it is it's setting up in the database where the default location is, and the SQL is calling the client ID custom field and matching it to the computer. So that's what the variable SQL is. And then after that, we execute it. We're storing the output of that as now command, as CMD.
Okay.
Okay. So now that I've got my client ID matched with my computer, I can call TeamViewer with that information. And to make this really slick, you stuff this into a custom tool, so that now when I right-click on a computer, I can call a tool that says Start TeamViewer. It'll pull that custom field data as the client ID and start it automatically.
So if this works it would work for Bomgar as well. But if you have some sort of help desk tool where you remote in and you have to walk them through to find the proper ID, this you have to find the ID once, put it in there, and then you can, without having to ask them, go through and connect to the machine without. without needing user input or them to find something.
Exactly.
That's
So this works for anything if you've got machine specific, maybe even a license key that you need to relicense a machine with. You can swap this up in the SQL and the command that you actually run, but then you can pull that out and join it to the computer and be doing whatever you want to do there.
Yeah, so that one, that's kind of multiple things within it that are useful, and you do have to write some SQL, which is...
You do a little bit. Really, the part that you're going to have to modify is that line 11 where it says client ID. That's what it's going to match on, because the top part I'm already going to join for you what that custom is to the computer name that you're looking at. So really, the only thing you've got to do is modify where it says client ID.
Okay. I would have loved this back in my help desk days. Because we use Baumgar, and trying to get the user to open up the right window and read the number. I'm just going to stare blankly for a while.
That's just going to hurt for a second?
That would have been fantastic. So, you do have to still go and find all those IDs and put them in there, but it's worth it to take the effort.
It is.
To have the setup to where you cut out a lot of wasted time on phone calls and time to close and, all the metrics that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can use to limit that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That was number 3?
That was number 3.
That one blew me away.
Yeah, I bet it would.
I mean,
we
totally
were
did.
guessing. You should have trusted me on that title.
I know. I will never doubt you again. Do you want to take a couple of questions before you move on to number 4?
Let's do it.
All right. Hey guys, is there an easy way to exclude computers in PDQ deploy schedules when targeting groups of machines, short of adding a subgroup excluding the certain computers? Cool hand Luke B.
So I'm assuming you don't want like a permanent exclusion like the target fields we're talking about, but just a temporary exclusion just for this one. Let's see. So
not that I can really think of. I mean, there's a handful of ways to do it. You could create another collection, or you could create some conditions based on certain things.
if the reason you're not sending to those ones is something that's definable, you could have a scan step before that one, but then you're still doing another group as the exclusion. But there has to be a way to point to exclude these, whether it's in a different collection, has a file that you
Has a
don't want.
registry condition.
There has to be something unique about them to exclude those.
Yeah.
And I don't know of a better way outside of what was in there.
Yeah, other than that, you're creating another collection there. I mean, unless it's a global, like I never want to deploy to these machines, then you go back to our
target filters. Yeah, if it's
cool
a
thing
global-
number 1.
Yeah, we want all of these, but never ever these ones. That's the only way to do a global one. But
Yeah.
Luke has kind of a follow-up question. Very, very similar. It is...
Sorry.
There we go. Can we exclude computers only from certain packages?
so it's going to be similar. So if it's only from certain packages, the target filter is going to be all of them, period. If they're in the exclusion of the target filter, deploy is just not going to send to them.
Yeah, I think the way that I've kind of done this in the past, because it's been pretty common, like I have a package for this, but not that, and there's nuance between them. A copy paste of a package is actually really easy. Same thing with a collection. So I don't know if you want to show in deploy since you've got the mouse there. You can just right click any package, and copy paste.
I like it.
Right? Copy paste. Now I've got the same one, still an auto download package, but I can come in here and I can maybe, set something different about this package from the default that is.
So in the conditions, either like if you just have a static collection of these ones are unique, you can just have this one only deploys to is a member of the unique collection, and then you have a different schedule and timing and everything.
Yeah.
That does require 2 schedules and 2 packages, but it absolutely is a great way to make sure you're not deploying when you don't want to.
Yeah, so I've got like a setup right now that's like a schedule that is our pilot group, and then another one that is prod.
I'm in your pilot, aren't I?
You always are.
I knew it.
And so you can copy paste almost anything in deploying inventory, which is, I think, an underutilized feature. You can even do things like copy steps between packages, which I think is pretty cool.
If you do copy paste, does it include the pre and post steps, or are those re-add every time?
I don't remember.
Why am I wasting time talking? We're just gonna do it. A PowerShell step of get-host. That's the value you're looking for. All right, so now if I copy this one again, paste it.
Hey, I'm going to say...
Oh, there it is.
It does.
All right. So if that's going to be good for if you are looking to re-enable the auto update, where we by default disable that, and you have the steps to include that. At least when you copy and paste that one, you're not going to have to go and recreate those steps.
Yeah. Or maybe you disable auto update for these machines, but not the other ones, and you don't want to recreate the wheel every time.
Yep. All right. Other questions? We're going to go back to our... You know what? Now 6 is going to amaze you. 3 was okay.
All right. Well, where are we at? 4?
We're at 4.
All right. 4 is just kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's a whatever.
Yeah. We should have framed it, don't bother with number 4.
3 is great. 4, you can go ahead and get your coffee.
Yikes.
Well, let's hear it.
All right. So, well, if we have to go into it, this one is, and we just feel like it's not used near often enough, is the custom tools. And
Custom tools are so cool.
the last one we kind of touched how cool it was with the team viewer or BOMGAR or whatever, but there's almost anything. Like in this case, like we have the example here, WizTree. This one's going to take a long time to run because that's scanning everything.
Yeah.
But WizTree is pretty dynamic where you can call out certain file types. You can, I don't want to execute that. You can call out file types. You can call out what drive you're looking in. In this case, we're looking at MP3s and JPEG because apparently we're looking at 20-year-old computers. Mm-hmm. Or someone that hasn't figured out streaming yet and they still are hoarding their MP3s. But it's just a way you have a custom tool where a computer is like, hey, I'm out of space, and they're like in relevant to both of us, mortgage industry, where they're not getting rid of their PDFs and not putting them in their secure location anyway.
Yep.
You could have something looking for large PDF files with WizTree, say, hey, I'm running out of space, run that, and you can say, well, it's because you have 75 gigs of mortgage PDFs that shouldn't be in an open...
Exactly. I think they're underutilized. I think people tend to use deploy to take quick action on machines when custom tools are a whole lot faster and they're a whole lot more repeatable.
So I started using a lot less when we got the PowerShell scanner. But the big difference is this one, like if we just run this now against, we'll go find a random computer, against Bugs Bunny. Where are my tools? That's how often I use it. Tools. We're going to run the WizTree.
Yeah.
That's going to take a real long time because I'm scanning everything on the machine.
Yeah.
This is going to pop up the window here. We're going to get the results. You can also have it save that into a file that you don't have to worry about where it gets all those. I think it's a CSV file if you don't want this pop up there. Where if you do the PowerShell scanner, it's going to put the results in a table as part of the PowerShell table. So it's just a way to get, I guess, faster results or more in your face instead of just having it.
Yeah. Or
in
even
database.
when you want to where you don't necessarily know what you're looking for and you need an interactive prompt. I think the tool that I use the most is the event viewer tool.
Control-Alt-E?
I think it's Control-Alt-E is the default. You can change it, but I can find a remote machine. Of course, you pick the offline one.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to work at all.
To pop open the event viewer on the remote machine. Yes, obviously I can open event viewer and connect to another machine, but this is just so much faster if I'm already living in this console to go find what's going on a remote machine.
Yep, and if you build your own tool, you can customize your own hotkeys sequence to make those run, which is, I think, pretty handy. So, the custom tools are, if you're not looking for something you want stored in the database, or you just need quick results or one time, you can just, these machines, I need this data. Build in a custom tool where you can just shortcut key to run that and not worry about it. That's incredibly valuable to me, but it's when you start using it for certain things, you see the value, but when you sit down with custom tools, what am I going to do with this? I've always drawn a blank.
I've just used it for, I take the same approach that I take with a script. If I'm doing something over and over and over again, I'm going to either make a tool or make a script. And the difference for me is, do I need an interactive thing or is it non-interactive? And if the option is an interactive, then I pick a tool.
I guess one thing mentioned for the tools, you can run it as a system, which just runs against all machines. You can run it local, so it's going to run as the computer instance, or you can run it
on the remote machine.
On the remote
Yeah.
machine.
So you just need to be aware of the context in which you're calling stuff. For this tool in particular with Bugs Bunny, with WizTree, we can run it as a local tool because you're calling the remote UNC path of Bugs Bunny's C drive.
And I can't even close it down. I knew that would take a long time, but I underestimated how long.
Bugs has got a lot of stuff, I guess.
We use Bugs Bunny about 90% of the time we need an example. So
Nice.
a lot has been going on with Bugs Bunny. All right, do you want to go on to number 5?
Let's go on to number 5.
I like number 5.
Yeah.
All right, number 5 is using existing collections to make new collections. Our collection library we have by default is awesome, and it goes in a lot of detail. But if you're going to make your own, having the steps like not installed or old version versus new version, there's a lot of different things to go into it. That's a lot of work.
Sure.
Instead of doing that, we can just go and we'll say get for Windows, and just copy and paste that one. I should go to the top and paste that. And it'll just copy all the information right in there, and then it's just updating a few things like the variables and the collection name for your collection that you're looking for. So
we're using the collection library for the built-in logic for something.
yeah, so instead of just like we want the latest, we want not installed, and then not installed on workstations only. Like there's a lot that goes in the collections winter that it's not fun to recreate. That makes it easier, just updating a few things. I would recommend not replacing these variables with static values because you're going to be updating those. You want to create a custom variable of your own, which I believe you call with a @ instead of $.
Sure do. You have to create one first.
Oh yeah, I've deleted all custom variables.
Yep.
What am I looking at? Where's tools? No, options. I did it. Maybe variables.
There we go.
All right. Variable.
You're so creative. Let's
that's
call
what I'm
this
here
variable
for.
var.
The value is yes. That is a variable. All right. Now that we have that, if we go into that collection, go in there to your custom variables, you add that. Now, where that variable is used, instead of having to update manually your collections, you just update that one variable. It's going to make everything easier. But what if I told you that there's an easier way?
But wait, there's more.
What?
So this one is Hanks, which if you've been on a sales call where you're investigating the product, you probably talked to Hanks.
Yep.
And he said, I need an easier way to make collections. And I'll be honest, if Hanks says we need something, he's right. Every idea he has, pure gold. Not always feasible to do,
But it's a
gold.
brilliant idea.
All right, so what we did is we built a PowerShell script where we just take a default XML, you supply just a few names, and it will build the variables for you, put in the version number, and build the collection.
So you're telling me that I run the script, I answer 5 questions, and it spits out an entire collection.
4 and
Tree?
a switch.
Wow.
I don't know what I named it, so I'm just going to tab through till I find it. Was that it? Add group? No.
No. There it is.
Was it create XML? Yes, it was.
Yep.
All right, so it's just we're having the temp folder do this create XML PS1, and then if you hit one of the attributes, you have variable name,
Okay.
name of your variable,
Yep.
the application name,
All right.
so that's what the application is going to be, what the current version is, and then the version variable name. So you're creating a variable for both the application and the version.
Okay.
In there. So you fill out those 4, and it's going to create an XML for you that you can just import and have everything there.
Well, let's do it, shall we?
Let's do it. So we'll start with the application name is, I always use widget extreme, right?
Well,
Widget.
let's stay
Not
consistent.
So extreme. We just want regular widgets.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in, I don't know if I need quotes, but
Better safe than sorry.
better safe than sorry.
What's our next one here?
I guess we'll do the, I don't know, the variable name, because this is for the application.
Yep.
We'll just call that one widget.
Okay.
I guess we could do
Widget var.
widget var.
Okay.
There we go. And I forgot my quotes again. That's not a quote. I'm a professional.
And then we've got to, what's next?
All right, next we're going to do the application or the variable version name. So this is just creating the variable for the version.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it gets weird. Widget var ver. And once
Got
again,
quotes?
no quotes. I'm nothing if not consistent. And the last one is what is the actual version?
Yep.
Application version, right?
There it is.
it's
So this is the version
32.
that should be for that variable.
19746.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna run that one. Variable version. Oh, it's because
you forgot a space there, sir.
yeah. For which one did I forget? It's gonna tell me
Variable version name.
variable version name. So after widget var. That's why it was still
There you go.
updating. All right, so now we have the XML. We're gonna go into inventory and just hit Control I, and it's right there. What do we name it? Widget not so extreme.
Okay.
Load that in there, and we have the collection of the latest not installed and old, and with the variables that it builds for you in there with the everything you set.
So it built us 4 different collections and 2 system variables and updated their definitions
Yep.
by running a single script. And this is where can people find this?
That's on the Git, the bonus content. Let's see if we can't just... We'll do it live. Yeah, so bonus content in there, it's just this auto collection. It's just that one. So that's the XML that you want. You need to have the XML in the same location that you're running the script because that's where it's going to...
Okay, so
copy.
yeah, we're supplying like a baseline.
Yeah, I have a poorly written README that will get you halfway there.
Well, when they, if the README doesn't get you there, you can go back and watch this a little bit.
Right. There is one gotcha with this one. If your application puts their version in the title,
Oh, I hate applications that do that.
we're looking at you. What 7-zip?
Yeah.
There's the version and title there. It's just a switch, and that one's just going to make some changes. So if they do have the version at the end of the application, it'll bypass all that. So
Nice.
install it once just to see what it has in the results, and if the version is in the name because they're monsters,
That'll do the split for
we
you.
build a switch for you. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so I think that's a little bit better than the copy and paste because you're going to miss anything. Everything in there, the title, and everything is going to be built exactly to what you want.
Yeah, and even if you don't call the parameters here, I think in the script they're marked as mandatory. So even if you just run it, it's going to prompt for all this
For each one
information.
of those, yeah. I would say know what you're going to put in there going into it, like what you want to name the variables, because as you saw when you try to do it live, you end up with widget not so extreme. So you know what you're putting in there when you run it. Make it easy. Make it easier on yourself.
Nice.
All right. So for Bertlin, the chat, yes, we do. It's the PDQ.com GitHub bonus content, and that one is called. I already closed it. What did I go? Auto collection.
Auto collections.
Auto collection.
Yep.
For that one, I think he was asking for yours as well, though.
I don't know if mine's up there.
If it's not, we better get it up there.
Yeah.
Because
You can look at my poorly written PowerShell.
yeah, we can't put this one in as as part of the scanner repo because there is some customization based on what the name of the custom variable is.
Yeah.
Custom field. We have so many symbols.
Variable field,
Yeah. So we can't put it in there because it's not going to run out of the box, but we can put that up in bonus content if people want it in there.
Cool.
All right, and let's see. Do we have questions, or are we going to go on to bonus number 6?
I think we do bonus number 6, and then we speed round the questions.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well, you guys are in luck because we do have more than 5. That's a lie. We got number 6 now, and this is just something that a lot of people don't use as dynamic collections with heartbeat deployments. This is for when people are remote, when they come into the office and log in next time. The next time the heartbeat triggers, it will get caught up on a lot of basically packages that might be out of date.
Yeah, I think the call out here is like this is really some bread and butter of deploying inventory, but something to call out is the heartbeat is triggered from an inventory perspective when a machine goes from a offline to an online state. That doesn't necessarily mean that the machine rebooted. It just means that at the time inventory sent a heartbeat, to the time that it received it, it was offline. So it could have been off network, just unreachable, and then it's gone back to an online state.
I believe the heartbeat default is 5 minutes.
That sounds about right. I think it's 300 seconds.
Not performance. Where would we put the heartbeat? I should probably know this one.
Is it our network?
Is it network?
I think it might be network.
Here we go. Heartbeat is enabled. Yeah, so 5 minutes by default. Test with your environment if it could be faster or longer, or if you know someone has logged in and you're there, you can just come in and hit Control H.
I think Control H is the one to send a heartbeat.
We'll use Bugs Bunny again because consistency. There we go.
Yep.
We send a heartbeat that one. So Control H that can force a heartbeat. But then you can have your schedules in deploy. You can specify the trigger of the schedule as heartbeat. So the next time, if the schedule has gone out and it missed these machines because they're offline, the next time they come up online, it'll kick off automatically when inventory sees them.
Yeah. There is a call out here from Marcel. Be careful with the heartbeat on large networks.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. That's the 5 minutes is the default, but go up, down, depending on your needs.
That's just the heartbeat trigger right there. But I mean, that's pretty full. But it is another thing with all heartbeat, anything. Know your environment, test your environment because you don't want to tax it. Nothing we do is terribly taxing, but it can get, especially in larger environments.
Yeah. If you've got 10,000 machines and you're sending an ICMP packet to all of them, every second, you're going to hurt something.
If it takes you more than 5 minutes to scan your entire environment, you might want to have your heartbeat
longer than that. Yeah.
All right. Let's fail to answer some questions.
I love that confidence.
So optimistic.
All right, gentlemen, is there a way to make a report over all applications installed without getting duplicates if the application name contains the version number or install language? Sincerely, what's the frequency, Kenneth, REM?
Boy.
I'm going to say yes. I don't know that I can do it live.
Well, give it a try.
All right.
That's what they want to hear with the speed round. Let's see if you can do that.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's
Like
try.
48 seconds.
All righty. I don't know if, Jordan, you want to answer another question while I fumble through this here.
So, yeah, I think the biggest part is going to be how you identify it. So if you just have starts with, it's going to catch all the versions. But if there's a way you can, I don't know, trim. I don't know. While he's doing that, let's take another question. I'm curious if he has this.
Okay, next solo question while Josh is occupied. How to run PDQ deploy job via command line, providing a parameter for specific computers to apply to. Sincerely, EUSA.
So in that case, I think it'd be similar to the PowerShell Josh wrote, where if there's something specific in the machine, you're going to want to have the script you're running from the command line pull in that data from it. In this case, like we had the SQL as part of the database. Other than that, anything you deploy from the command line is going to use the same parameters you have on the other ones. So it's more about having your custom variables with custom information in your package you're calling more than the command line itself. Did you do it?
All right. I think I've got this report here, but I may not understand the question. So it's pretty simple. It's just going to show the computer name and the application name. The only filters I have going on is I just want to see 7-zip. So when I run this, if I do this here, or I right-click on it, and I say group by this column, I can say auditorium control, has this version of 7-zip. And that way you can kind of group either by the application name or group by the computer name, whichever one you don't want to see the duplicate of.
So in that case, if you have an application where they put the version number in the name, but it also doesn't uninstall the old version, this would capture both of those, but not. But it. I don't know if this is what I was looking for.
I don't know if this is what you're looking for either. If it's not, feel free to shoot in a support ticket there. Either way.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's not what you're looking for, shoot us. We have a lot of very smart people up there.
Yeah.
They don't put the smart people on camera.
I was going to say, well, then we should bring them down here.
No, the smart people don't want to be on camera.
That's true.
If they were less smart, then they would probably be willing to do this.
Jordan is throwing shade at you, Josh. What are you going to do?
I'll just take it. It's
But
fine.
he knows that he's management now. He doesn't actually do.
But as shown by this report.
All right, speed round continues. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Can PDQ provide a report of user accounts that are locked out? Thanks, try Mad Sky.
I mean, it can, just because it's an AD query. So instead of running against a machine, you just want to run it against your domain control or anything that has the ability to query AD, which is almost anything.
Yeah.
And then it's just get-AD user, and I don't know off the top of my head which one for locked out user. You might have to specify that property to call it out.
That sounds like a great thing for a custom tool.
A custom tool to see if the user that you're...
Yeah, well, it just runs that AD query. So you've got a custom tool. You find that DC somewhere in all computers, right-click, and it'll return you back the results.
So that one absolutely can, but that's because it's running against the domain controller. You're basically querying AD more than the machines.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next question. What would be SQL to get members of collection group? EUSA.
I cannot do SQL Live.
I can't do SQL Live either. I'm sorry.
And I don't know if SQL Live is even a problem. I can't do a SQL query live.
Excuse me. So that script that I actually wrote that does have some SQL in it could be modified. I'm doing a join on computers, but you could do a join on something else. So you could just copy and paste and kind of tweak that. That'll be up in the GitHub.
Yeah, we have there the DB browser. So you can go through there, put in the database you're looking for. You could probably find the table you're looking for within there and then use that. But if I have SQL in a script, know that was a lot of Googling, a lot of mistakes, and finally I asked someone else to write it.
Went and found one of those BI people. Help me.
I think that's 80% of the reason we kept Lex around was just for the SQL.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And our next question comes from Kevin B. Maybe that's Kevin and Bean. Morning show back in LA. Great product. Is there a place we can see all the package updates, additions, and removals?
Go ahead.
So as far as the updates, I mean, anything that's new that's come in, you have the auto-update approvals as well as the...
Would you like this?
You know, I'm using the touch screen. So as far as the updates would go in there, everything that we have updated is going to show up down in this update screen. Or if you have auto download waiting for approvals, it'll show up in there. So I guess the updates, as far as new packages added, I think it updates in a Reddit somewhere when there's a new one in there, but I don't know if there's a way to be. I don't know if there's like a mailing list you can join to for that one to catch new software.
I don't think there is.
Well, that was easy.
I did it.
Next question. I know how to create a scan profile to find a particular registry scan. Can you help me define a report and or a collection to display the results of the registry scan? David North.
Sure.
All right.
We're gonna have to create a scanner to scan the registry somewhere. Real quick.
I'm gonna put that up to you because I'm not touching the registry. There will be no hacking of the registry from my workstation.
Wow.
So, and that one, when you do create the registry scanner, it does build a table for that machine that's in there, and I think you can call that from the filter table in any sort of collection report. It's not going to exist until you have scanned, if that makes sense. So you can't go through and have a report built, do the scan, have it show up when it's done. You have to build the scan and then build a report around it. Look at that. Look how fast. I made a good call giving you the mouse.
Oh, thanks.
Ian.
See, Josh is smart.
I'm glad he's just making any snide comments about you. Oh, you don't want to do Charles McGill. That JJ will jump through the computer.
Oh, is that the one? I'll take bugs. All right.
Probably a bad idea.
Leave Chuck alone.
Sorry, guys.
You know what? We should probably have Charles McGill on the exclusion list for target filters.
Speaking of underused.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. All right, so let's see if I've returned some registry data here. All right, so I've got all of this data here, right? And depending on what you want to see.
Jake, can you zoom out so we can see that?
It's fully zoomed out. They need to zoom out on
that's
there.
me.
Yeah, we're full screen here.
That's you.
That's me.
I should run the auto-size script from time to time.
Yeah. All righty. So I'm over here in registry. So I've returned some data. So now if I want to create a collection based off of that data, or maybe let's say a report, right? On a basic report that I want to show the computer name, and I want to show, some of this registry. Maybe I just want to show the path, right? And I just run it. I can see everything that was returned back from that scan. Now, if I don't want to see all of it, that's when I come in here to the filters and I define specifically the keys or the hives that I was looking for. But that's how you get all of that data to be shown in a report.
Yeah, so it's just important that the table, like when you build a registry scanner, when it scans is when it builds that table. So you might not see the drop down you're looking for until you've run your first scan.
Get the scan, get the data you want, then go back and build your reports, build your collections after the fact.
All right.
Okay, now we're really going to start the speed round.
Good, because I'm making great progress.
This is the real deal. Hey guys, is there a way in inventory to do a report on several dynamic collections in one report, i.e. report all servers listed as out of date for Windows updates? Dan, uppercase G.
Dan, the way that I have done that in the past is kind of a silly way, but it works for me. I create a new collection, right? And I don't put anything in it. And then I put other collections inside of that collection. And then I use the parent collection as like the group to set as my reporting source, right? So if I say run report, based off of this top level collection, maybe all the displays in this, but pick the report that you want and just use kind of a dummy collection as your grouping.
I think there's that. If you build a dynamic collection that basically is a member of, and then you list all of the ones that you want them to be a member of, then if they're not a member of each one of those collections, it'll exclude them from that, but it's not going to tell you which one they're not a member of.
Yeah. Be careful of those member ofs as well. If you get them nested too deep or too many of them, that's a pretty gnarly syntax for SQL that actually has to eval and can be kind of slow. So careful as you nest those in there.
In 3 years, I've never done speed round right.
You'll get it one of these days. Okay. Next question. Is it possible to use stored PDQ user credentials, different deploy user, in a PowerShell script? Rudolph?
So in the PowerShell itself, there's lots of different options where you can make that work. So they have, I've already forgot the name of it. I just talked about it. You could basically, if you build like a key pass of all the things, in PowerShell, you can have the ability for it to log in, pull that information, and have all the credentials in there, so you can build credential units off of that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can do if it's on the local machine, just get credential, save it as an object. That's encrypted for that machine and that user. It's very secure.
Yep.
If multiple people are going to be using it, then encrypt it with a key file. So they have to have access to both the credential object and the key file, then they can decrypt. So it's not in deploy so much, but there's ways in PowerShell that you can pull in remote passwords securely.
Yeah. We actually go out of our way to make sure that the credentials that you're storing in deploy inventory can't be used in anything else.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do two more.
Okay.
Two more. Here we go. Is there a way to change the number of concurrent targets for a specific package, IP range, or time of day? Sincerely, the fabulous Wendy F.
So concurrent's pretty global. I guess you could have...
Short answer is no.
Yeah. Depending on how many instances you want up there, if you have one that you have run for peak hours where the concurrent targets is less and one for after hours, but then you're duplicating all of your work. But that's the only way I can think of to where you have just differences and then just the schedules in each one is different for the concurrent. But I can't think of a great way to do that, no.
Sorry.
All right. Final question of the day. Is it possible to customize the columns for every collection? When I change columns, it changes for all. This possible? It would be great. Thanks. Ricardo S.
So I think whatever you have for your view is static across all collections.
It is.
I don't know a way to have a separate per. That would be awesome.
It's a great feature request.
Yeah. I want that now. I want that very, very much. All right. I think I'm going to give us a C on answering those questions.
I'll take it. It passes.
C. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Our products, they've been around for near a decade at this point. There's a lot that goes into each one of them. And sometimes we feel like there's just things that would make your life easier that have fallen by the wayside. Hopefully this helps you find some things, make your life just a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And if so, high fives all around. For PDQ.com, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Josh.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Kenneth R. and Dan G., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. And if you would do us a favor, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you back here next time.